My name is Katie Ray. I'm the Curator of Education and Public Programs. And it is my absolute pleasure to introduce you to Jimmy Ray, who will be discussing his art tonight in his solo exhibition. I know him very well, and it's to be my husband. So it's tough to introduce someone that you know so well. I've known him for half my life. So he is currently the assistant professor of sculpture at Pensacola State College. And we met back in his MFA degree experience at the University of Massachusetts at Amherst back in 2007. And prior to that, he got a Bachelor of Fine Arts degree at the University of West Georgia, majoring in sculpture and ceramics. In between his undergraduate and graduate experience, he worked for 3 years as a founder of the Inferno Art Foundry in Atlanta. He was also a carpenter, and I think you can see some of that evidence in his work. He works in a range of materials, often refers to himself as a sort of tinkerer or a bricoleur, for a fancier word. And I really enjoy seeing these pieces materialize in our studio, in our garage, in our house. Our walls are a little bit bare. Some of these pieces were in our house and now they are here. So really looking forward to learning more about his work, and we will do a Q&A at the end of the talk. So if you have any questions, please save those for the end of the talk. And please join me in welcoming Jimmy Ray.
Thank you guys for coming tonight. I want to talk a little loud because the room's a little weird. This is kind of mid-range coach voice, so I apologize if it's a little bitey, but we're going to get through that. I want to thank the Pensacola Museum team, Caitlin, of course, Nick, Richard, and Jamie. I couldn't have done this without you guys. I really appreciate it. Talk about people that handle artwork with care and artists with grace and courtesy. They make this happen so magically, and it looks emotional. Like, it's really hard work, guys. You know, really hard work to get things up and going, and it just happens. What seems like sporadically, but they work really hard. All right, I'm Jimmy Ray. I know you've probably got a lot of questions about like what this stuff is. I'm going to do kind of a dual thing. I want to talk about inspiration. I want to talk, of course, about myself, and I'm going to talk about like why and how I made these things and how I'm inspired by it. So we'll start with inspiration first, and that's talk with my students about how to be full so you can then produce. It's kind of a difficult thing when you're not used to it, but the first thing that you need to do is actually come to a place like this. You're feeling low, you're feeling not creative, go to a place where creative things can happen. And get your fill there. Go to a library, go to a class, fill with with the energy so you can then produce. If that still doesn't help, bless your heart. Go back to fundamentals. Go back to drawing. Go back to sketching. Go, get in, the mud. And feel why you fell in love with whatever you do in the first place. It doesn't matter what it is. Find that fire. Literally, for me, what I go do, I go well, I go blacksmith. But I go back to the beginnings of it. Let's make a perfect well. Let's, make the hammer blow count for the way it moves and processes material. And through those actions, I find that I start to plug it in, and I can use bits and pieces of those experiences and start putting things together. Another way is taking things from outside of these creative places. We're all bombarded with news and our feeds and whatnot, but you can also do that if you're making notes. Why things trigger you, or why things have you, have emotional moment with it. So jot those down. Put those in a place where you get that, because that can be cool for later on. When you don't know, what you're going to make, you get in those journals, those sketchbooks, and in the studio space. Sweet. I hate to say it, that's really one of my go-to things. Like, I don't know what to do on the phone. My wife may argue with me on this. my studio space is much like my work is all over the place, but still, I don't know where to begin. I'm waiting on something, and I'll move my room, I'll take the step, take the trash out, move things around. So get active in the space and get moving and kind of excited about what's going on. I think one of the things that keeps us from it is so much easier to have our dopamine fix from our phones or TVs, video games. It's easy to get planted on the couch and stuff. All right. So there's some tips, some things to hopefully jog your memory and get you going. And I thought one other thing. Go work with someone. Go work in a place with someone on something they're doing. Be inspired by their process. And go freely with it. Like, just slapping something, moving it around. And then, those relationships will grow and you can be in a space where you're actually able to create something with them that's meaningful for their work and your work. So, we're going to talk about 3 pieces, and then we can go to the question portion of it. I think it's, in my mind, it's 3 obvious pieces, like why they happened, and what are we doing with them, and how to deal with it. I think the first one's behind me. So the rubric drawings are, it's some of the best ideas are just accident. So you get one of these things you don't want to sweep before. I know that's contradicted what I just said, but that's okay. So the observation, I was watching it and seeing how it moved and kind of jittered around, and I thought that might be a fantastic color. And so I take a pencil to it, and got the biggest piece of paper I have. I like it was like a 30-inch by 22-inch piece of paper. So that's pretty cool. And put the machine on the top of it, and it was just a nice number 2 pencil, and push the button, and I knew what happened. And the next iteration, I did it in a gallery, very similar size pieces of paper to these, and my salt set of tape down, very similar to this. They have it, I have them over here. Sorry, move around. They've got barriers that keep the Roomba from jumping off stairs. The original Roombas, they'll go a room that you want them not to go into. And so I was using the barriers to keep the Roomba on the paper. Now, I was working at the University of Hartford, Connecticut, at the Hartford Art School, and it was a lot of arts. We had just redone the floor. Like $30,000 worth of floor. It's gorgeous. It's very similar to these floors. I set it up, and the gallery strap there, we're about to open up the show. It's great work. I'm really excited about it. I push the button, the thing tears off, it's crawling around, and the next thing I know, it's always when you turn your back, I look, and it's taking off across the road. And it's jet blacking, and there's spewing that stuff all over the place, and I scream, the gallerist laughs, chase it across the floor, grab it, stop it, and I'm freaking out. We mopped it up real quick. Thank goodness it came up. So that was my first, showing of these things. The second showing, of course, same setup, and set the thing up to draw, and I swear to you, the church, the president of the university was there, and it starts to draw fouls. On the drawing space, he starts here and makes this nice little circle, goes over, there's huge fouls on the board. It's probably like 9. I got a relationship with these things. We've been through it. And so this is kind of the 4th or 5th version of this. I normally have a paper roll here. It's it's captivating. It works. It's very interesting. And then, I'm monochromatic in the middle, trying to use a little color theory on the other side, so we can have these very interesting abstract interactions, and so it activates the texture and the shapes. So it's everything that I want in a foundations project in the first year of college. So that's why I think it's great. So it goes back to those fundamentals that we were talking about earlier. And it's also a conversation on replacing words. Like with rooms, we get free time. We don't have to do vacuum. We don't have to do this. But if it's on a large scale, then somebody may not have that. So it's a great conversation. And so one of my students this past week when we came in, they asked me if it was AI, and I was asked if it turned into. But it's not. It's just a program. It's programmed to run and do its thing and bump against the walls and follow the edge of spaces and stuff like that. But I think we need to have these conversations. And the title of the piece, I call it Drawing Without Drawing. So it's a reference to Bruce Lee's Fighting Without Fighting. So there's a movie, he's a great famous martial artist, tragically. But he had a scene where a guy was trying to pick on him, and pick him into a fight. And I told the guy to hop the boat and go down. Well, the guy hopped the boat, and let the boat go way out. And Bruce Lee was on the big boat as they were traveling, and so there was no fight. So this is a reference of me moving away from having total control of my personal console and letting these machines, which are cleaning, have a moment of life that we observe. That's kind of where I'm at with these. Now, where I would like to go, I want to do a whole room. I think that would be completely interesting. Maybe Horse House, things like that, or have a round circle. Just very interesting to work in that realm. And then the big, this one's off the picture, is to have a surface underneath that has texture on it, maybe a print, like a relief print. If you look at these real close, it actually did not print the lines. And so that's really the lines, the slats in the floor. So I found that fascinating. So that's something I'm looking forward to doing in the future. So I don't know if I would hand carve and do kind of a reverse print, almost like a Graceland rug. Right? So it's a similar texture. The idea is to build when they start going. And like write it down, make notes, don't forget. But that's exciting to me. So that's this drawing without drawing, and this is the key image. So the claw machine. Now it's going to be different than this. It's still unique, but very unique. And I really believe that it's kind of a tearing moment in museum gallery situation because now it's a hands-on. And I like that both of these are together. This is a hands-off, this is a hands-on. And I like that biology. I like it a lot. And I also enjoy the interactions with our patrons and the machine and the win and the loss. So everything in there is made by hand. Of course, the boxes that you are made, put together, cut with a table saw. And my original edition, that everything in there was boxes. So it was a very, we talk about commodity, about shipping, and like who cares what the objects are? I really care. You can win shipping rates. So that's really relevant now in hindsight. Maybe you more shipping rates. But because the second edition was called Woodland Animals in Pensacola. There's a toad, and and you see the turtle right on top. So there's a box turtle, so it's slowly becoming endangered. And And so those were very special. Of course, and the boxes. And the newest edition, and this is part of my somatic research, which I just completed in the fall, are these icons from the 80s. I got Star Wars character, could be Boba Fett, it could be a clone trooper. I've got two types of Ninja Turtle, or you can have any Ninja Turtle. Yeah, any one of the Renaissance heroes. But the other one is actually a robot Ninja Turtle. And then I have Transformers Optimus Prime and Transformers Bumblebee. And then I have a couple of faces in there. Oh, and I forgot Voltron cartoon from the 80s that are one of its hands, which is their line in the head. So in my sabbatical research, I made these things traditionally in the sense that the model would play, would make a role, and then we were able to cast them in. I then took them in with a 3D scanner and scanned all of them. And it wasn't exactly to my satisfaction. They kind of looked like really fluffy marshmallows. I needed a more robust scanner. And so my goal was just to grow this a little further with a better scanner and then 3D printing. So now we're having a conversation with our emerging prototyping technology that's kind of coming into the world of artists and the analog traditional can. And I really, really enjoy that because then we have a conversation about the machines taking places of jobs. And so what is wrong or right? You don't know that. I believe that we have to get on the wave going forward to ride the wave to, win the search engine show, in this case, versus being on the wrong side of the wave and getting thrown in. So we need to know the technologies so we then can be better artists, so we then can use these just like, our first single paintbrush. How nice that was. Our first digital camera or mobile camera. Digital is going to be all in all, but it's just another thing that we use. So this is everything that I'm thinking. And then there's still more, like the 80s people coming, in this multiple ways, so and it's going to grow more. So all the proceeds that were coming through this machine are going to be put into a class that we do here for middle, elementary, and high school teachers in the area to incorporate sculpture practices in their classrooms. And you don't have quarters. I got quarters. All right, so in the last one is this one. It's probably, you got to pick your favorite kid. I think this one right now is most of it. This one means the most of it. Let me say it that way. So the title, have you guys read the title? Just this. So it's Ridge Over Shit Creek. So Ridge Over Shit Creek. Shit. That kind of creek. The situation is we usually put ourselves in this type of creek. It's, people can help us get there. But usually it's a bad choice or a good choice, and sometimes it goes good or bad. In this case, it's directly there. It happens to be a small neighborhood home with this toilet, so they're making a toilet. I don't know if it's good for the claw machine. But the creek is something that we make ourselves. Or you could be an option. It's also a possibility. And in building this, I knew that I wanted to have some really dynamic repeating shapes. And it goes back to kind of our foundations when we talk about, as a principle design. You get stronger when you repeat things compositionally, well, if you use them. I like odd numbers, odd, yes, so I got 5. And pulling from nostalgia, the train track is an 8 scale train from Hawaiian. And the course And then I gave her some counsel on how to get out of the situation. You know, you want to go through the whole story together. And this is, I've had a couple editions of this. It's grown past, this used to not be copper. It was like a cheap plastic, like model train shoes, but it fell apart. I've had it with the actual previews there. And this, the PMA edition, is one of the strongest shows. And I'll share it with you. So, 2024 was really an up and down year with me. My mom passed away. I had a major surgery, but it was also, I was awarded, inducted into the Academy of Teaching Excellence. And I was awarded a sabbatical. And so, my mom said right before she passed, sometimes she just couldn't do it. She saw it was surgery. So I had cancer removed from my body. So when I was thinking about being inspired, sitting in bed, I couldn't stand up. It was a medication problem. Didn't know if I was going to stand up here. The only thing rolled through my head was just God. And I want to thank PMA for giving me this opportunity and me being able to realize that it happened. So it's really, I know a lot of artists don't remember moments or expensive. This is a big thing. And then you should try. You should try to do that. So I'm going to open up the question before I cry in front of you guys. What kind of questions do you have?
One is a wood block that has a candy on it, and the other one, I can't tell, it has like sprinkles of it, like has an image. So how does that differ and how?
Yes, that's a great question. Let me hop on the other side and we'll go on. So the first edition, and a lot of the work was made out of meat and made out of sweet. So what I had on hand was I had the Roomba. I had these actually really wonderful screw accessories. This piece of really light MDF and pretentious black walnut. I like black walnut a lot. It's really great material. And I had to realize, like, how can I get the marker to stay on the paper? Because without the hinge, and without a rubber band, it doesn't have any spring and it won't quite free. So when I put it down like this, it just drags and there's no pressure, and I need pressure for that ink to release. So this is about 2 weeks worth of, virtual creaking. and came to this conclusion of how this ended up being a very simple mechanism to make the ink flow like it should. So, 10 years later, I meet Richard Rodriguez. And he was looking at this design. He's like, we can work on this, and we can streamline it, and we can use a 3D printer, and we can use the latest printer. And I was all about it. Because this is technology I want to like it. Let me say it that way. I think we all understand when you get introduced to something you don't know if you want to be in that world or not. But it was really awesome to work with Richard and be like, this is where we are. So we made a quick drawing, like analog quick drawing. Then he broke out a computer, a quick drawing, and now we have working parts. And then the Fusion 360 software, things can move around. I was like, okay, I know where we're going. I was actually trained as a draftsman in high school. So it's the same stuff, except really slow. The way I was trained on the board, mechanical pencils and stuff. And within about 3 hours, we had a working model of how I can adjust everything I need to. I can adjust the marker size. I can adjust the distance away from and toward. And this acrylic is flexible. So it took the need for the rubber band away. And my hope was, this is the first drawing of the night, it really navigates around the 90-degree corners like something around there without getting caught so much. It had a couple times when it was not exactly how I wanted it, but the machine was still able to pass it and do its thing. So it's a really awesome example of something really about collaboration. And we quickly found a language where we could work together, and Richard's real labor to get this thing working for them. And that was our goal. And it was like weekend, I think we took a long lunch. And so that was really awesome. I think Richard. But that's the kind of thing that literally is springboard. And they get you thinking. Now, I could actually probably replicate all this again in part of what I want to do. You know, just because I got it, just stop, cut it out, and have a bunch of them. All right, call Richard, hey, Richard, be like, here, what do you please? How about you cook?
It's easy.
Right? It's that kind of collaboration, and that now we start flowing and go and start making and drawing and getting our sketchbooks. And it springboards to other things. Because in my mind, I'm always building stuff. Like, I teach printmaking, so I'm thinking about prints now. Like, how do I make a print? Like, I can ink up the room on the room. Just immediately, that would not be out of the norm in the printmaking world. They do that all the time. So, but that can springboard to something else. You know, compositioning, can I do this, can I do that? You know, using that routing technology to make prints. Literally make a print. So it's exciting. That's a great question. Another question? You guys know everything?
I wanted to ask about, you said that you liked that was hands-off, even when it looks like.
Oh, it begs.
It what?
Oh, it begs to be touched. Yeah. So does the hammer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So this is the rules of the museum. You're not supposed to touch the art. I enjoy it. The child in me, I make things that people need to physically touch, and that's a W. That's a win for me.
Okay, so like what happens if somebody touches it?
So somebody did touch it, and they ran it around too fast, and now it doesn't work right. But that's okay. Right? That's okay. Like, people are good people.
Yeah.
And we're okay with that. Especially if we have good confidence.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What's your favorite piece that Jamie has ever made?
Oh, that's not fair.
Describe it for us.
That's a really hard question to answer.
Tough one,
I know. Well, the hive piece I think is interesting. He's done drawings of hives, and I just love how you can take a rod that's very straight and very industrial, and he made it look like a real branch. And I love how organic. He can take metal that's. I've tried blacksmithing. It is not for me. It's very hard to do. He makes it look easy. So when I see some of your blacksmithing piece, I love how organic and how soft you make it look.
Well,
From a ceramic background, I appreciate that.
well, I believe that's the trick to good metal. Like, if you can change the surface to be sensuous, that makes good metal. It cool looks warm. You flip it on its head a little bit. You like the branches on there. I wouldn't have been satisfied had it not looked like a tree. You know, like it was clipped. But the nesting part, when it kind of looks like a face, it's very not from this world in the way that we normally look at it. Now, that aluminum is the same. They used to make aluminum airplanes that way. So I use those same techniques. The dishing and metal forming. They make like motorcycle gas tanks you see on TV shows. That's really a simple form. It's not. It is hard. It's not that hard once you've done it. aluminum on steel and round pieces of copper. They're all riveted together. But the fit on it is friction, so there's no weld that has the aluminum attached to the steel. I made the pieces very angrily, you can see on one side, whacked it in with it more, I'm trying to make it move. So when I put it in place, and rivet it in place, it holds really tight. And proud of that. Yes.
Jim, what's the most you've ever sold a piece for?
Give me a second. It was $9,000. It was, I have a whole different series of metal angels with guns. And they're life size. And they're big series. And the favorite.
Those are my other thing.
It is what it is. That's actually that's my graduate work. So the whole 3 years in that program, that's all I did was metal figures that are on this phone. Yeah. They had a good run in New York. New York and at a gallery in Massachusetts that was selling.
Will you make more?
Oh, I made one last year. So it's actually it's a bullet. Not for $9,000. Yeah. Your chip family?
Yeah, you mentioned tinkering earlier, and kind of how some of the pieces have changed, like the vending machine, the walls, or the drop in over 10 years, there's an evolution there. And the bridge, and then also something that's additional to the gallery today.
Oh yeah.
So like, how do you feel about, what's your perspective on when artworks are finished and like readdressing them every time?
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't know initially whenever I finish something if it's ever done. I try to work toward a good 85%. If it reaches 90%, I'm really happy. One of the metal, it was in last year's record show, one of the metal angels that we've done is now on a hand-developed column. And it's up really high. I think it's 14 feet tall. But it started out on a post that I dug out of a creek in my backyard in Georgia when I was growing up. I saved this post because honestly I thought it was going to be a mantle piece. That's what it looked like. It looked like it might not be perfect for a mantle. It's all rustic. Somebody's going to pay me some money for this thing and I'm going to install it. But it traveled with me. So the post piece was actually, I had a video in a video monitor in a sculpture that had a cast iron head, a cascade body, a Fordell pieces, and I used that post and I put the angle on top of it. So that was right for it. But when we moved down here, I came across this column. I was like, oh yeah, that thing has got to be on that column now. Now it speaks very, like, I made the angel in Massachusetts, so it had more of a menacing question of faith kind of vibe. But when you just stick it back on this column down here, I think it really grounds it to all the influence that helped me kind of fabricate those things. They're just terrifying. And they're not so like, they're patchworked in the way they're put together, but having this nice, beautiful, like solid column, and then have this patchwork angle that's like angels are ethereal anyway, right? So you can see through it, you create shadows, but it's solid. It's that piece is done now. I'm not. But it took me a minute to get there. But when I make my prints, once like multicolored, single color, whatever, once that block is done, that's an addition. I don't do anything else with it. It may be on different paper, but that doesn't change the matrix or the substrate of the t-shirt, whatever. It doesn't, that's not important. So, and then my drawings, they're done when I put the slide over and I go back to them. If I need to redo it, I'll just do the whole one drawing. Drawing is fast. That's the beautiful thing about drawing. If you're not Nick, Nick likes to draw exquisitely. When we backwards brag on that, like, when I've been instructed to inform you guys I did make an update to the church piece today. In secret, illegally, I believe it's and I'm working on the title. I was working on the title on the way down here. So I, this week, fabricated satellite dishes or satellite dish structure and I installed those today. And so I knew, like, this piece, the church piece in this space is incredible. To see it lit correctly, to see the shadow that comes down from the bottom of it, it finally clicked with me. The original idea was actually going to make the church a Hungry Hungry Hippo, so where the church came out and flat down, so the Hungry Hungry Hippo became for the age of something sorry. But I wanted to have that momentum to where it could eat people. So now, let me back way up. That church is actually in my hometown in Georgia, but it's not a real church, it's a movie prop. And it's a movie prop from The Walking Dead. And it's built exactly like The Walking Dead was actually a comic book, but the church, one of the nice things about that show was if they could, they made it exactly like a comic book, like props or things that they use. And that church, you can watch it. It's actually a Catholic church, which is not true. There's only one Catholic church in my hometown county. In the home county, there's only one Catholic church. In the TV show, there was a black minister. That was not the case. There would never been a black minister at that Catholic church because that's how that system worked. 5 miles away from that church, there's a historic black church. It's very similar. But it does not have the steeple. And that black church is 120 years old. It's gorgeous. It's really close to my house. I could walk there from where I grew up. And that's a sacred place. It's where all of my friends went to that church. So it was really, really special. And to be invited there was a special thing. Because the way they celebrated, their Christ experience was different than the way my friends celebrated their Christ experience. Way more emotionally involved. I digress. So, yeah, I wanted the church to eat people like zombies. And it was really, back to The Walking Dead, it was really surreal to be living in Connecticut, watching The Walking Dead, seeing my friend's house, and zombies come out of it. And it's he wasn't like that friend really wasn't like the smartest guy, so I could see this happening. But it's weird to see your kind of sacred place, be put on TV and then other things happen with it. So other movies have been filmed there. Zombieland is one of them. So it's they film a lot of horror movies there, so I see bits and pieces of I have no home there anymore, so it's a place I can't get back to. So that's an exciting place to work too. But yeah, in the working title in my mind, I'll let you guys in. I apologize. I'll probably change it 100 more times. But I put receivers on the church. I used to install DirecTV. So we go in and put up some never trust those people, by the way. They will butcher everything in your house. I just happen to work with a really good crew, and we see other crews work as they navigate wires through your house. They just put it all. So it was an experience. But there's a certain coordinate that you point or keep satellite to where their satellite is. And so if you've got trees in the way or whatever, it's a problem. They contracted us to cut down trees so they could get their signal, all that kind of stuff. But I put satellites in every which way on top of the steeple. The steeple's like the sacred part. So the bell, that's I guess what the bats are too. But so the title is going to be along the lines of searching for signal received. It's going to have probably a zombie reference, but it's about, let's see what it is. I don't know that the church has a correct bearing on what they should do right now. And so I believe it's searching for signals. And it's not exactly, I don't know what's coming out of pulpits anywhere are the message that's supposed to be coming from or received on the satellite. So it's going to be in the middle, but I'm going to play on both sides of the fence. I like that. I need to have that friction in the middle. So if I was going to dance over here, oh, that could be negative, oh, that could be positive, because we don't know. But I like that. Again, a duality. I hate to keep on saying that, and that's one of the things. So it's in play, and this is like in my mind, like we see the memes and the couples laying in the bed, and usually it's the lady of the couple. Wonder what he's thinking about. I'm always thinking about building, making, doing art. It consumes me. So I don't know how it feels. Questions? Yes.
Your well works in a lot of different mediums, but I was wondering if there was any that you always kind of go back to, or you maybe have your favorite?
That's a good question. Good question. The word that popped in my head is a delicious material to work with. It is difficult, but having the way it was, like you're not supposed to see wells on bronze. Look, painting these bronze out there, it's gorgeous. It's one of those materials that feels warm as gold. You can do anything with it. Like you can make text, you can make figures, you can make dinosaurs. It doesn't matter. You can build with it. Go to the ocean, or years later, you drag it out of the ocean. It's going to be good. Like bronze, really awesome. I had to pick a secondary material. It's tough. It's probably working with steel. And it's the same rules apply, except, well, they have rendezvous, they make weapons out of them. But I like now with, I was joking with Richard about this. Like, we made this thing right together. Well, it's got screws. It's got a flathead slot. Like, we've got hundreds of flatheads everywhere, right? Nobody uses them. I joked I was going to go to the shop and forge a flathead screw that can go with this whole thing. Just old school wooden, like, weird. It's going to have a teardrop shape, so it fits in the palm. It's going to have an inlay handle. It's going to have steel on the side of it. Just because I want to feel it, and I want to be able to use it. It's going to be like tempered. It's going to be manipulated correctly so it doesn't fit. It's going to work. It's going to be out of the tools that we can make a knife with, or we can make chisels. Yeah, to make something that makes something, and you guys something do these assignments. I love assignments that build on skill set on top of the next skill set on top of the next skill set, and you're still using the original skill set. If I can build a whole situation like that, I'm happy to teach you because I enjoy the fundamentals and I enjoy your complexity when you get to consume that. I like to see, and I like that in my projects. Sorry. One more? No pressure. That's okay.
What are your future plans after, like, if you do decide to, like, not go to PSC or
Say
teach?
again?
Like, what are your future plans?
Oh, to make it work. Yeah, I want to explore 3D printing more. I want to incorporate that in every facet that I work in. I want to have it pop up in printmaking. I want to have it as an avenue in my sculptural process. I want to have that embedded, lightly at first, but then more complex later on in my assignments. What a my pretentious. I believe what mission is good and it helps people grow. And that's what I want them to do. If they see my work and they have a moment and they can grow in a way that is outside the moment I get to speak with them, or outside the moment I get to speak with them, I'm really excited about that. Really. Yes.
Do you think PSC would like to purchase a nice Conrad printing press?
We love a donation. Yeah. But that's something we can talk about. That's it. We always like relations. If they work. Yeah, so it's a possibility. Okay. I think that's review. Thank you guys so much.